Honorable members' report was laid on Wednesday, 8 November 2017. Honorable Iboro Ekanem will move for its consideration.
Thank you, and my honorable colleagues. My name is Iboro Ekanem, aka IBB. I represent the good people of Ikono in a federal constituency, and I'm from Akwa Ibom State, a state of uncommon transformation. Mr. Speaker, honorable colleagues, I do move that the House will consider the report of the Ad Hoc Committee to investigate the health implications of mounting telecommunications masts close to buildings and approve the recommendations therein. And it was laid on the 8th of November 2017. I so move.
My name is Bakar Hassan Fulata. I represent Berniwa Krika Salon.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. Leader.
Do resolve to a committee of the whole to consider reports.
Rules and business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Okay, Jeff. I represent the good people of Buruku, my dear colleagues. I'm from Bono. Mr. Speaker, I wish to be protected from the DS. When you put the correct thing, I'm chairman of rules to talk business. He knows it. He knows it very well. But I stand to second the motion assembly moved by the leader of the acting leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion say aye. Those against it say nay. Ayes have it. House hereby resolve into committee of the whole to consider reports.
The report to be considered is that of the Ad Hoc Committee to investigate the health implications of the mounting of telecommunication masts close to buildings. And I invite the chairman of that committee briefly to just tell us what they have done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I remain Iboro Ekanem, representing the good people of Ikono in the federal constituency of Akwa Ibom State. Mr. Chairman, briefly, this Ad Hoc Committee to investigate the health implications of the mounting of telecommunications masts close to building HR 11/2017 was set up on 17th January 2017. The membership were up to 15 members, and we had the method of investigation included meetings of the Ad Hoc Committee, placement of adverts on daily newspaper, the Punch newspaper, and 2 days investigative hearing, public hearing, and then we set out to oversight on some selected states across the country. The stakeholders invited were all the stakeholders in the telecommunications industry, up to 34 number as recorded on page 5 of the reports. Briefly, we had submissions from the Nigerian Society of Engineers on page 7 and page 8, which confirmed that the electromagnetic field interferes with sensitive medical equipment if they are installed close to hospitals, therefore giving malfunctioning of such equipment and wrong diagnosis and also wrong treatment that affects our health. Also, on page 9, the Nigerian Medical Association established that there is a link to some health hazards such as fatigue, headache, decreased concentration, cancer, especially brain tumor and leukemia, sperm motility, tumor induction, dizziness, viral and other infections. We also had a memorandum from NESRA National Environmental Standard and Regulations Enforcement Agency on page 11, which indicates that there is a long exposure of noise from generating. The oil waste can also contaminate underground water. Just and finally,
go to your recommendation.
Okay, yeah. NEMSA came with all the equipment to test the high resistance of some mass. The NESRA measured the equipment, NCC measured the radiation. Mr. Chairman, at the end of it, we discovered that some did not meet the standards, and we came out with all the recommendations stated here. Mr. Chairman, in conclusion, we have said that. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and we came out with all the. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Residential apartment or near buildings poses a health threat directly from the radiation that is supposed to come out from this mast. Now, I have gone through the whole of this report. I have gone through, even though it came in late, but I tried to go through it because I had already gone through the other paper, the one that is couched on the other paper. And I was expecting to find, on the findings stroke observation, whether any question addresses that pointedly, whether the radiation poses danger to health. And I failed to find that, so we are back to square one, because during the debate, the argument was that, okay, let's give it to the committee. During the hearing, they would have invited experts who would throw more light and come to a decision whether if you have a mast near the home, or near a resident, or near a building, it will pose danger to health. All we are getting here, the way the recommendations are couched is issue. The certain committee, certain MDAs should publicize the dangers of posing the mast near residential. That has not, the point I'm trying to make is that has not been, yes.
If you go, a recent study in 2014 in Iran shows that people with symptoms such as nausea, headache, discomfort, nervousness, depression, sleep disturbances, memory loss, and lowering libido. Look at it, that's page 7. I think those are the things you are referring to. We will not know. Okay, you will say, but they said this, I'm coming. Do you want this to be part of the recommendation? Because they have pointed it out in their main report that it has been found that the nearness of this thing to residential houses can cause those things we have mentioned.
You see, the point is that because most of these reports do come in late, but what should be paramount is that if I take a report, even if I don't have the time to go through the entire document, I should look at the findings and the recommendations. Between the findings and the recommendation, I should have an idea exactly of what you are saying is not captured in the findings. Or where? Which of them?
From my head, though, it's in the report. It's in the report, page 7. Let's listen to Chairman. Unless you want to tell us that findings will be part of the other paper.
All of what has gone through, the committee has gone through in terms of the hearings, they should, distill it. They should distill it to the findings, and then from the findings, you draw the recommendations.
Yes, by the way of amendment, you can't discuss the reports. It's recommendation that you can discuss. So I will now go to recommendation. After finishing the recommendation, if you think there is a particular issue you want added to the recommendation, because as honorable member, you have all the opportunity in the world when the Ad Hoc Committee or a committee is set up for a particular purpose to go and make your input right there. So when you come to the floor, please, I'm just saying don't assume. Please don't assume. No, it's not on the recommendation because I've not called any recommendation. I've not called. That's why don't assume. The house is a procedural, it's a place where you have to apply the procedure. If I say recommendation 1 now, If you have any issues, you can take the next 20 hours to discuss it. But if you not discuss general, you say it's a recommendation. Which recommendation? So, recommendation 1, Honorable Shagari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Because the recommendations are somehow repetitive. Okay, sir. Recommendation 1. Recommendation. Yes, sir. Recommendation 1B, which says conduct regular public enlightenment to inform, educate, and empower Nigerian consumers on the best practices and uses of telecommunications gadgets. I'm asking, which empowerment are they talking about, sir? If you say you want to enlighten them on the use of electronic gadgets, fine. But which enlightenment? Empowerment. No, come on. I think it should be urge Noah, if I may just...
By the way of amendment, you can't discuss the report. It's recommendation that you can discuss. So I will now go to recommendation. After finishing the recommendation, if you think there is a particular issue you want added to the recommendation, because as honorable member, you have all the opportunity in the world when the Ad Hoc Committee or a committee is set up for a particular purpose to go and make your input right there. So when you come to the floor, please, I'm just saying don't assume. Please don't assume. No, it's not on the recommendation because I've not called any recommendation. I've not called. That's why don't assume. The house is a procedural, it's a place where you have to apply the procedure. If I say recommendation 1 now, if you have any issues, you can take the next 20 hours to discuss it. But if you not discuss general, you say it's a recommendation. Which recommendation? So, recommendation 1, Honorable Shagari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Because the recommendations are somehow repetitive. Okay, sir. Recommendation 1. Recommendation. Yes, sir. Recommendation 1B, which says conduct regular public enlightenment to inform, educate, and empower Nigerian consumers on the best practices and uses of telecommunications gadgets. I'm asking, which empowerment are they talking about, sir? If you say you want to enlighten them on the use of electronic gadgets, fine. But which enlightenment? Empowerment. No, come on. I think it should be urge Noah, if I may just...
Empower them. Even by stating the data alone, that if a mast is going to be installed very close to your building, if it is not so meter away, don't allow. You have empowered such person, and he has basis of fighting the installation of such a thing. So, Nkiruka is adding to knowledge is power.
It's okay, I concede. But may I continue, sir?
Public enlightenment to inform, educate, and empower Nigerian consumers on the best practices and uses of telecommunication gadgets. In these days, this is the gadget. In the second case that you are referring to, carry out public awareness on the health and environmental impact of sighting. So now it's specific on the health and environmental thing on this. So there are two different things in my own opinion too. Maybe they are trying to be too detailed, that's why they are putting it. So, and listen to honorable colleagues, although they have turned it to a town hall meeting, but listen to what they have said. Because I would have expected you to raise up your hand properly and we call one person. They said one is referring to Nestra and the other one is referring to NCC. So, very residential, close to residential building, or you maintain the standard, there are still health-related matters, whether or not. But the first, which is important, is maintain the standard first and foremost. That if your mast is to be sited 50 meters away, make sure it's sited 50 meters away. That does not eliminate the fact that at the end of the day, you're still going to have health hazard that you are going to face. And that is what these agencies are being urged to continuously monitor. That's the summary. So this is the way you must understand the report. The report is trying to treat two things. That first and foremost, maintain the standard. The mass must be so meter away. You must understand the gadget. You must do this. Despite maintaining the standard, there will still be attendant edge challenges that these agencies must now monitor. When you understand it in that context, then we don't have problem with the recommendation. Like for example, let me give you an example. Cocaine to us is a bad drug, but most of the vaccines that are used is the major material, is the major substance there. And so they will say, this thing is bad, don't use. But when it is now used medically, you have to monitor. They have monitored the effects on the vaccine that will be finally. So when you say, do this, that does not mean that you have solved all the environmental or health challenges that they will pose. So that is it. I think what the man was able to do, the chairman of the committee, probably because he's an engineer, he wanted to be detailed enough to be able to state all that are related to agencies. So that is the context where we have to understand this. Roman figure 2, A, B, C, I will consider them as 13 altogether. 13 altogether, not 20. But having stated all these functions above that NESTRA and NCC must do, you must now go back and make sure you perform those functions. That's how it is done. It's basic. In fact, by that alone shows that they know what they are talking about. They have stated it. NCC, this is what you must do. NESTRA, this is what you must do. Then finally, you must always go back to make sure these things are done. This is good. So recommendation 2 carried. Shagari, you are attacking your friend that they are engineers. You want to? Not they. You are attacking your friend. Yeah. Recommendation 3, 4. Okay, 4. Chairman rules and
setback standards. Now, when you come to this 4, it's saying that further research should be carried out to determine the appropriate distance to buildings for establishing base stations to avoid arbitrary Shagari, let me learn now. Shagari, I have the floor, please. Buildings for establishing base stations to avoid arbitrary establishment of minimum setback to buildings.
Yes, invention and daily activities on research, especially today's newspaper on the Guardian, precisely page 49. There is the latest development with respect to GSM radiation, which were not there before, and I read, cell phone radiation linked to cancer in rats in first ever large U.S. government-funded study. So as the event involved, then there might be a new standard of which that should be followed. Therefore means if such invention comes up, then there must be a regularized standard. Mr. Chairman, there might be a review. Yes, sir. Yes, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much.
It's true. It has to be reviewed. You can go on and mention examples of things that have to be reviewed. So recommendation 4 is carried. 5, 6, recommendation 7, recommendation 8, 9, 10, Africa 11, 12, 13. Honorable Shagari.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. May I move that the House do revert back to plenary to report its progress?
Chairman rules. The House hereby reverts back to plenary to report progress. Of the report of the Committee on Police Affairs on a bill for an act to establish the Nigerian Police Trust Fund and for related matters 2017 and approve clauses 4, 18, and 19 and long title of the bill. Honorable colleagues, the House in the Committee of the Whole considered the report of the Ad Hoc Committee to investigate the health implication of mounting telecommunication masts close to buildings and approve recommendations 1 to 13 of the report. Honorable Shagari.
Yes, sir. May I move that the House do adopt the recommendations in the report considered during the Committee of the Whole? I so move.
Chairman rules.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I second the motion as moved by the acting leader of the House.
Those in favor of the motion that the report considered in the Committee of the Whole be adopted, say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Gary. Chairman rules.
Thank you, Mr.